All right, it's 5 o'clock, and looks like we've got a group. So let me take a peek and see how many. Oh, good. Might have a full house. So welcome. It's week 5, and we're getting ready to start. Thank you very much for attending and for your efforts in trying to learn report writing with Sage 100 Contractor. We're going to get started. Today we're going to do a report from scratch, just like I do every day when my clients ask for help. You will see my thought process, how I decide the primary table, the report layout and design, the use of all the tools at hand to complete the report. SQL statements will be a part of it also. This was requested in your reviews. Thank you so much. Through several emails, we zero in on what becomes the scope of work. This is just like when you start figuring out what a report you need and what it should look like. So you ask yourself, what's the purpose? Who needs this report? And who is the report directed to? And why? So here's your report's scope of work. And this is from a client. And their words. I want to build a report by project manager for the different income accounts. For example, our service department's service income, costs versus billings by period, just for individual income accounts and project managers. Requesting more details, we got this. We don't have departments set up yet, and really just have the 2 income accounts for now, 400 or 4,000 for contract income and 4010 for service income. So the scope of work is 2 GL accounts and some more info here. We have more than one project manager billing towards those income accounts, so I want to run the report where one of the filters can be income account, with filtering by project manager and period posted, and that would be the period that the info was posted, with the option to modify the report in the future for more filtering. So we're kind of zeroing in on the scope of work. Sometimes you have to ask questions until you're satisfied you have enough information to do the report that we want, the way they want to get it done. And so, oh, and here's some more input. And I'd like the report to show job. Now this is good stuff. Job number, total invoiced, total costs, gross profit. These are columns that would be in the heading. And so I hope this makes sense. Right now it's just an idea that's been swimming in my head. So the client is still pondering what it is exactly that we need. And so to develop a scope of work at this point, you just have to keep asking questions as a report writer. So what does swimming around in my head tell you? Now, I'd like to, and I would like the report to show these. We've just talked about that. I hope this makes sense. Okay, so, okay. Okay, whether my head is your head, your boss's head, your client's head, it doesn't matter. What it tells you is the scope of work is not yet finished. So we have to keep asking questions. This is common. This happens all the time. They know what they want. It's in their head, and they tell me what they want. And it's a process. So you need to ask questions. And that would be true in your own company. Find out who's requesting the report, what they're actually looking for. Dig deeper so you get a good sense that they know exactly what they want. Even if you have to ask them to do a spreadsheet of what they expect it to look like. That's very helpful. I ask that often of my clients and have them send that to me. So because you are setting the report structure right now, including the primary table, then you will start creating a report. That's why you have to ask these questions and get the info you need. So new info can mean, oh, discard everything and start over, time wasted. Because the new info, you started using the wrong primary table or things like that. Now it's time to say to the client, to yourself, changes to the scope may cost more because you get a quote based on what was given as the scope, and you need to make some changes to it, and that may change the primary table or various things. So let's see what else I need to know. So I get this comment all the time. Oh, yes. Oh, by the way, this needs to be included. Well, would I be able to make it, adjust it to be a one line per job? That's an important item. And we've been discussing this for a while, so it's trickling in. Something that heads of service and construction could use just to see a snapshot of each job. Okay. Mainly I'm thinking about service. Okay. Now that's important to know. And here's a little more background. We started a new service department in 2022, and our senior VP does weekly service meetings. I'd like for him to have a one-pager or more, depending on the amount of work, which just lists out each job. So it can easily stand out to him which jobs haven't been invoiced yet. Well, then there's another little piece. They want to know about invoicing and what hasn't been invoiced. Another little piece to the scope. So he can give the admins their marching orders and which jobs may have lost money. There's another little piece, another column to add. And having to see, he wants to avoid having to see too much information while he's in his meetings. So we're getting to a good scope of work now. Let's see what we've found for our scope. It started out pretty small, but now we've got 27 items. Wow, now that's a scope. So all these things we've pulled, out of the conversation so that we can get started on a scope of work for the report. Now, going back, if this is just for your company, which it probably is for most people taking the class, ask anybody who might need to look at that report, not just the main person who it's for, and find out what they need from it. In your meetings, bring it up and get the input from them. That way you can get a report that is really satisfactory for everybody. Okay, now, so let's get some structure. Let's see what we found out, in the report's scope. And so that list of 27 items, I've kind of put them into what each item is in the way of a part of a report. And so the process is, you've got groups and you've got columns with items that have to be in the columns. You've got rows and filters like the selection criteria, and then the leftover stuff. And you have to figure out if all of this can be added to the report. And it can, but we need to be organized, or else you're just spinning wheels. So the primary table in this looks like accounts receivable jobs. The service portion would be service receivables. Groups would be GL accounts because they've asked for GL accounts, and the second group could be jobs, and the third group AR invoices because they've asked for invoice info. Now, the groups can change. Those are changeable during the course of the report. Matter of fact, I do that quite often. I see that I've got GL accounts first and jobs second, and after I've run a couple uh, trials on it, I see that I'm not getting the information exactly to flow the way I want it. So I might switch these two, put jobs first and then GL accounts second. Actually, that did happen. It was a reverse when I first started. I had GL accounts second and jobs first. After running it a couple times and seeing what wasn't happening, because it's in the wrong order, I switched these back to this way. Okay, so let's get the report started. There are two options as we begin. One, go to the 13.3 menu and start a new report from a blank sheet. Or two, find an existing report that has the structure in place and make changes to create the new report. As time is short in these 1 hour sessions, we'll do option two, which is very important shortcut in writing reports when possible. So we're going to go find a report that's existing, and we also have two reports, not just one, to do. And I'm going to start with number two, the SR client status. That's the service receivables report, because that was given me as the more important one. And so we'll start with that one. And so we're going to take a look here and see what's out there. And so in menu 7, service receivables, under service invoice list, the one in the Sage list of existing reports that's there is that has more of what I'm looking for in a report to start with. It's got invoices, it's got the client, and it's got payments. This just has clients, so we really do need the payments in there, so I can tell what's been paid or not paid, billed or not billed. And so that's the beginning part. We're going to take a look here now at what this is going to look like. Okay. Report 11.1.2-33 in Sage. The primary table is service invoices. The groups started out to be clients, GL accounts, and service invoices. And that was existing. Oh, except for the GL accounts, I added that. So it didn't have GL accounts as a group. We added it, and we are testing to see what happens. Trial and error method. I call it T&E because it's used in report writing every day. With this, it's more of an art than a science. There's a lot of science to it, SQL statements or SQL statements and things like that, but you've got to try things out to see what works. And that's the case with almost all the report writing that you do. And so we're going to choose the service invoices lines because okay, let me go back to here. These are the list of tables. Okay, let's go back a little further. We're going to go into the 11.1.2.33 report and click Modify Report, and then take a look at the groupings. Surprised I didn't put that on here as a picture. Anyway, going to click the icon that is the groupings icon. And now what we are doing is choosing the groupings that are here. So the main table, the primary table, is service invoices. Service invoices doesn't have the account, the GL account. The GL account is in the lines in the grid area. And so those are the service invoice lines table. and you click on that, and you can scroll down and find account, which is the GL ledger account number. This is the account with the account name. We don't want that. We just need the number, because on the groupings, it's almost always done by record number, employee number, that type of thing. For employees, if that's the type of a table you're looking for, then if you want the names alphabetically, then the grouping could be by the person's last name, or last name, first name. But normally you would just do it by the employee number or whatever number is requested. And so we're going to put account number, the GL account number, in here. And I put it in the group 2 position, and it already had the client and the record number. So let's see here. So this is what their report looks like right now, without being touched. Doesn't look like much like what we want it to be, but there's a lot that we need to do to it. But the bones are here, and that's the key part. The structure is here. The primary table, the grouping, a lot of the data here is there. So anyway, that's what it looks like. As you can see, we still have a lot of work to do, but we've saved a lot of time too. That's, of course, if this works. Yeah. Trial and error. It's always trying to see if the way you're working on it is actually going to work. Even after 20 years of doing this, it's still a factor. So we added the group, but now we need to add it in the grid area. So we added it to the grouping, but now we have to add it as a group to the grid area. And so this is group 1, which was the client name, client number. Group 2, we made it a GL account, so we've added in the group 2 here, and then group 3 was already there, except it was group 2. No, record number was there. Because I added group 2 as this, then the record number, which was 2, became 3. Let me see. What if you find a report that doesn't show you an option to modify? Is there a different way to see how Sage built that report? Oh, yeah, the non-modifiable reports. Okay, that's probably what you're talking about. The non-modifiable reports does not show you a way to see how it was built. And that's because it was determined when Sage was first started, or when that report was added, that there was no way to do it in Report Writer. And so they had to write a program to create that report. Now, there's a lot of reports that are non-modifiable. And that's the case with each one of those, that it doesn't allow you to open it up and see the back end of it. And those supposedly are non-modifiable, or because they couldn't be created in Sage. But there's been a lot of them that I and other report writers have been actually able to create. So it's not impossible to create some of these, but some of them are. And it's usually because the table structures just don't mesh, and you can't get the data to come together in those kinds of reports that they have as non-modifiable. So to answer your question, there is no way to see how they built it, but you can try and build them yourself, and I've done it many, many times, so it's not impossible. That's a good thing for one of these classes to show. Is, let me make a note here. Okay. Yeah, darn. um, but again, it's not impossible. If there's time today, and there probably won't be, but if there's time today, we'll maybe touch that. I'll show you that as something that I've been able to do. Okay, so we added the group, and now we added to the grid, and so it's right here. Yes, a lot of people have the service receivables module. Not a lot of people use it. I took a survey of, maybe 100 of my clients to see what modules they use, and very few use the service receivables. But those that do use it a lot, and it's quite quite heavily used by those who for whom it works. Now, a lot of construction companies don't do service, and so you can see why they don't use it. But it's a good module. I can see a lot here don't use it either. Let me ask the question: do all of you or some of you use the estimating module? You can just chat that in. The estimating module, it's number 9 in the menu. 9.5 actually, the takeoff. Okay. The estimating module in Sage is really the key to Sage. I created a short video, like 3 minutes, no, 2 minutes, showing the benefits of using the estimating module. You put your estimate in there, and from there, without rewriting anything, with a click, you create all your budget. Another click, you can create all of your POs. A click, you can create all of your subcontracts. It's just amazing. And the estimating module is really crucial to getting it done in Sage, with no repeat typing. Anyway, um, just a food for thought on that. So let's get back to this and take a look. Okay. Now, added the GL account to the grouping, and here it is with the GL accounts, when they printed the report. And so that worked pretty good, except, and that's what I've got down here, is now I can see that if we need GL accounts subtotals, we will have to make it group 1. As group 2, it only subtotals the client, and that's not what we need. And so what I had done is started out as group 2, but if it's group 1, then as group 2, the clients flow underneath that, and then the GL account subtotals. And subtotals all the accounts that have used that GL account. So that's what that looks like. And do get used to trial and error, because it's a part of life. So let's take a look here now. Okay, and here it is with the GL accounts as group 1. I made that change. And so the GL account's there, and then you have the client. This is also in service receivables, the main entity is client, not job. There is job there, but it functions mostly on client. And so the number of jobs that are there, based on, here's the client, and that client has these jobs and these jobs, and so that's how it's structured. And so the jail account is there, and then you can get the clients and jobs, and they subtotal. like down here for that GL account for these, and this one for these. This is the sample company, and it's not real good for lots of good data, but it works well enough. Also, it's so small enough to where I can run the whole thing real quick, because there's not a lot of data and it doesn't take too long for anything to run. Okay, so this looks like what we want in the way of GL accounts as group 1 with subtotals. Now let's tackle getting the rest of the report ready for our client. Oh good, we're in pretty good shape here with time. We'll need to analyze the scope items and then enter them into the report and delete any items in report 33 that aren't on the list of scope items. Now, remember the client wanted a simple picture of the status of the jobs with not too much unneeded info to confuse the staff at meetings. Here's what the modify screen currently looks like. And so there's a lot of stuff here that we won't need. Check, transaction number, the payment dates, and all those kinds of things. We won't need those, and quite a bit of stuff we won't need. We have quite a few things to add in. The client hopefully wants one line per job. That means a total line with subtotals of the columns. Now originally, and that's what I did. I did subtotals for the client information. It's not on here. I'll show you in a minute. The subtotal for clients, that's the row that shows the job information, one row. And then there's the GL account as a group, and then it totals. And so that's what it'll look like. A new heading row. Let's see. Oh, these are the things we're going to add. We're going to add to get started, we're going to add a new heading row, adding the needed column headings. This is the process in which we get this report built. And then secondly, we'll add a new client subtotal row for the subtotals, and then a no print row for all the other rows that aren't needed. Again, T&E. Now, this is what happens after I got these things added and taken out. And so this is the end result of that report. So again, you take a look at this, and that's the end result. There's your here's your general ledger account. There's the client. This client had 2 jobs, or same job at 2 invoices, or 2 service contracts. And then the client is totaled, and then the GL account number is totaled. This is page 2, and so there was more up here. But this is, again, the client, the jobs. So basically 1 row per service ticket, and they can see the various items. The record number I always put in. It's not usually even requested, but if you put the record number in there, you can drill down, and that's what I almost always put it in blue with the words drill down up here. So you know that if it's there, you can often click on the other things, it'll go down too. But if the record number is not there, then it usually won't drill down. So that's a key item for putting in reports. And so we have the period. Let me see down here. We've got the period, the record number, the date, the invoice total, and the various other things that they wanted. Gross profit dollars, gross profit percent, the description, and the type of service item it is. It's still in the order status, or is it an actual invoice, and so forth. Excuse me. Okay, so how did I get from before to this after that we just looked at? Well, it took me 4 hours today to get that transitioned from what you saw, the first picture of what it looked like, to this one up here. It doesn't always take that long. Mostly the time it could, but it did today because there was a lot going on in that report. But anyway, um, because of time, I can't show you 4 hours worth of work in this class. But I will send you some more details after class about how that work was done, in the sense of making the adding of columns and stuff is pretty kind of rote, but if you're new at this, you could probably use a little bit of examples of just plain hard work to get this thing put together. And I will send more details after the class on this particular report. Um, and I'll say after sending it to the client, well, how about letting them say it? That's it. That's the one. It gives them a snapshot of each job while still showing the information needed. Thanks, Jim. Comments like that is why I do this. It just kind of warms my heart. Again, this is a picture of it. When you build a report, it's good to make it so readable that you don't have to struggle as to find out where's the data you're looking for. Lines underneath the data going across, spaces separating the various groupings, the major headings, or the major grouping, especially group one, almost should always have a colorful line across like this. I would warn you, though, about using color. Use the very lightest colors that you can, because even though it looks easy to read, black label letters on a color, it's easy to read on the screen. It prints differently, and it's hard to read some of these letters, some of the words on these color bands, if the color band isn't extremely light. So just word to the wise. Okay. Now, there's an SQL statement in this report that we can go over. And it's on the person's name that is a supervisor. In the 3.5 screen, the job setup screen, on the second tab, you have the opportunity to put in the name of the estimator, the salesman, and the supervisor. And you can change the name of those fields. This client was using the name project manager. And so that's what this column is. It's PM. And these names here, the employee number flows easily, but getting the name connected with that number requires an SQL statement. And that's what this is. And I'll break it apart in the next screen, but basically we're doing the select from where statement. And we're selecting the supervisor's number and the name of the employee when the the job number equals the service ticket number. So basically, if the service job, because this is a service table that we're working in, if the service ticket's job number matches the job number in AR receivables, then tell us the supervisor's number in the AR table, and by the way, give me the name of the employee attached to that number. So we'll be going over this again. So we've got the select, which is the super, and a dash with the number, the employee number, and the employee first and last name. The from is, oh, here's an inner join. We haven't talked about inner joins yet. I'll get there in a second. We're connecting two tables in this SQL statement and telling it basically the same thing that we told it up here, which is where the job number in AR matches this job number in the service ticket, then give us the supervisor's name and number. Now let's talk a little bit about inner join. Inner join connects two tables that don't naturally connect, but do have at least one field in common in both tables. In this case, that field is the employee's number that's in the supervisor field in the AR screen, and the employee's number. So the supervisor's employee number and the employee number match. That's what it's asking for. Let's go down here a little bit further. And this is the same SQL statement. Okay, let's start here. I've covered this already here. The difference with an inner join is all in the from part. Just this row right here. The select part is the same as a regular SQL statement, and the where is the same. The only difference is in the from information. Okay, in the from, instead of just from ACTREC, which is accounts receivable, instead of just that, it is from accounts receivable, comma, employee, which is employee, and then it goes on with an inner join statement. Let's go down here and explain this in more detail. Inner join, okay, SQL statements are kind of hard to grasp. Practice, that's all I can say. Practice, practice, practice. Inner joins are a little more complicated than SQL statements. And so it's important to practice that too, and read the data that I gave you last week on SQL step training and stuff. So back to the two tables. Okay, the two tables are shown as from ACTREC, comma, EMPLOY. So basically, accounts receivable, comma, employees. The ACTREC is jobs. Jobs has supervisor, an employee number field, and the employee is employees. Employee has employees with employee number field. Excuse me. Okay. We're trying to tell the system we want these two tables, accounts receivable, employees, to connect. And they do connect because they have a common field in each that's the same, an employee number. The employee number in the job field is the employee number that is shown in supervisor. The employee number in the employee field, obviously, is the employee number. And so those are the two same fields in two different tables. And so we're telling these are the two tables to pull from. And this is how they connect with with the same field in each. So that's all that an inner join is. Yes, I do say that down here a little bit sooner or later. The question is, does well, let's go back up here. The primary table of this statement, that's different from the primary table that the report is in. These do not have to be in the primary table that the report is in. But the first table after the from, the select item has to be from that table. So this is an accounts receivable item, and the first table after the from is a accounts receivable table. If you do another one in there, that can be from anywhere else. And again, on this side of the where statement, again, it has to be the table that was first after the from on the left side of the equal sign. Excuse me. The field that is on the left side of the equal sign is the same one that is first after the from, and it's the same as the table that is after the select. And so the table that is in the curly brackets on the right side of the equal sign can be any table where you have fields that connect. It doesn't have to be the one that is mentioned here, right here. See, after the from, we've got the two tables, and then here's the way those two tables connect. This statement, this part, does not have to be this phrase. But what you do have to have is that the name on the left side should be the name after the from and the name after the select, the table name. And then the one on the right side in the curly brackets is, for instance, the reason And this is important too. The reason that in the curly brackets, I'm saying the job number from the service invoice table is equal to the job number in the accounts receivable table. That's because this is the table that this report is written in. That's important. Uh, I pulled this from another report that I had done, so I didn't have to recreate it all over. And when I pulled it into this, this was subcontract here dot job number, and it didn't work because the table structure that we're working in didn't know what subcontract was. So this side has to relate to the table that you're working in, or one of the tables that you're working in on the two different tables that you've got here. Am I clear as mud here? Let's see. When you're writing an inner join, do you have to use your primary table before the words inner join? Let's talk about the primary table, the words primary table. The report has a primary table, but that's different from the tables that we're using in SQL statements. So to answer the question truly, when writing an inner join, do you have to use your primary table before the words inner join? No, you don't have to use your primary table at all. The report's primary table. But this inner join statement is saying, okay, well, I need this information from a table that's not really connecting. And I can connect this piece of information to a table that you kind of like, that this system kind of likes, and because that connects, I can also pull that data out from the other one. And so the SQL statements are kind of unto themselves so far as the primary table of the report goes. Let me go down here a little bit further. Maybe I can explain it more. I did some more talking about this down here. Okay, in the from, instead of from attract, oh, we've done this already. So let's see. Oh, I think we've covered this stuff already. So is that does that answer the question that was asked about you have to use your primary table before the words? Or do I need to explain that more? Anybody? Do you need me to talk about them more, or do you need? Yes, thanks. I guess that's yes. It's good enough, or is it yes? You need to talk more. Okay, we're good. Okay, it's kind of hard to grasp, but once you got it, who wants to hear somebody else talk about it another 10 minutes? So okay, okay. So let's go on to a couple other things here. Now, uh, before we do anything else, I want to first look at some of the resources in my book to help you. I don't know if you've really looked at these yet, but starting on page 138, I went through every report in Sage and copied every formula in every report in Sage and created this resource guide for you, separated by primary tables. And that's what this is in the book. Starting at page 138, I think it goes to page 160. And these are the formulas, the different types of statements that Sage uses for all of the reports that they put into Sage. I gathered them all together and created this resource. And they're here by table. So the AP invoice lines table. This is an if then else statement. Here's the report number. Here's the report name. There's the calculation name and the calculation description, and then the calculation. This is an if then else statement with a SQL statement embedded in it. What I want you to think of is it's an amazing help when you're looking for a formula in a specific table for a report you're doing. It's probably already here in one of these examples. So this is part of the book and it's part of the resources. Don't ignore this. This is really great stuff. Okay, next. Thanks, Desiree. Says that is amazing. Thank you. Okay, here's the even more amazing part. Now, starting on page 165, now you can go to menu 13.7, print database format. You can go to Sage and print the database format. What that is a list of all the tables and all the fields and some info about them. And that's what's at 13.7. And when you print that, this is what it looks like. It's got the table name and then the various fields, the description of the fields, the type, if it's a numeric or character or something else, how many characters it has, and any related fields that this relates to. For instance, ACA employee info, rec number. Okay, that rec number in that table relates to the employee record number. These relationships are important. Now, I have remade this document into a more user-friendly format. I use it every day to look up tables and fields to use in reports. It's worth its weight in gold. And here's what it looks like. It looks a bit like that, but in the other one you had the table up here and then the field names here. I've added the table and the field name together. So if you need to copy it, it's easy just to copy the whole thing and not have to take these two pieces and put them together. And here they are, these same things split separately. And then the description of what they are. Here's the table name again. And then whether it's a numeric or other kind of field, how many characters. These are how many decimals. And these are the reference, the fields that refer or that refer to these. So, and there are almost 100 pages of that. No, not that. Yes, there's almost 100 pages of these that I made as a thing as a resource for people who use the book. We've got 5 minutes. Are there any questions that you want to ask? While we're pondering that, I've got, okay, when I try to pull reports using job cost notes, sometimes the descriptions get cut off or moved to another line on Excel report. Job cost notes. Job cost notes. I'm trying to think of uh, uh, I'm not sure what you mean by job cost notes. When I try to pull reports using job cost notes, sometimes the descriptions get cut off or moved to another line on the Excel export. Um, let's talk by email after the class when you have a chance. I can answer that when I get a little more information from you. Yeah, do email a sample and we'll talk about that later. Okay, yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. Any other questions? Okay, we've got an SQL statement here. These are from the book, so you have them on the various pages. This is just a regular SQL statement, getting the bid item description from a takeoff, but it could be any type of SQL. They're all structured the same. So it's asking for the bid item name from the bid item, where the bid item number equals the takeoff line number, and the bid item record number equals the takeoff line record number. It takes both of these items to get this info pulled correctly. And here's the info that comes out, where, let's see, the bid item number is here, and there's the bid item. The arrow points to the words, but it's actually to the number. And um, so it's this statement is pulling the bid item name. So it is pointing to the correct column, the words. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out for tonight. Appreciate your time. I hope I've made some sense tonight. I haven't sent you a review form yet, but I will. Please do send those. They make a big difference. What I have been doing in weeks 3 and 4 and even 2 were based on what I got from your reviews you wanted to see or hear. So please do send those in. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you guys for taking the class, and let me know what else you can do that I can do for you. I'm here to help. Okay, you take care. Thank you so much.